do you prevent from doing that?
Think about it. What?
So how do you remember to do that? How do you remember to think about it? How do you remember not just to click an automatic pilot? You know, I've driven my same routes for, 33 years, or on my 33rd year of driving from North Minneapolis here. The routes changed a little bit, but a lot of times and I'm at school and I forgot how I got here almost. I don't remember any of because my mind was somewhere else. I would like to say my mind was in deep prayer, but it probably wasn't most often. Just because it's become a what? Habit, routine. So how do we break out of those?
We have to think.
Well, this guy, look, God, basically, the key is to what?
Mean what you said.
Well, yeah, is to ask God to help you. That's the first key. And the second key is just to recognize it. I got a lot of habits that I go through every day. And so just to recognize. Now, I gave you 10 points for doing this. But if it was a test, I probably wouldn't have given you credit, some of you. So let's look at some of the people you put down as people of faith. Okay? I'd say 3/4 of you put Noah. How many put Noah?
I don't know.
I think I do.
What is this on a test? I don't know. Oh, yes, I did.
Oh, that. Yeah.
A lot of people put Joseph.
Yeah.
A lot of people put Moses.
Yeah. Only if I was right
Anybody put anybody else?
I put David. I put Mary.
Dave.
Elijah.
Okay, you put those things, but you didn't really, most of you didn't really tell me what made them a person of faith. Noah, they said, well, Noah built an ark and listened to God. Does that make you a person of faith?
No.
So how would you say that Noah was a person of faith? In case you see it again on the test.
Because he believed in God and listened to what he said.
No, he was chosen by God.
Big brain.
God chose him, that means good.
Sometimes we read all these stories, we've heard them all before, and we just kind of go ho hum and oh yeah, I heard that. So if I told you this morning that God told me to do this to you, usually even when I say I got a journal entry from God, you guys think what?
You're joking.
It's a joke. And sometimes maybe it is. Or if somebody said, I was praying the Our Father this morning and these are all the things God told me when I was praying. What would you think of that person?
I don't know.
I heard someone talking to me too earlier today.
I'd say cool.
It was like,
The one saint that we had, that I showed you online.
Guess we got another half an
Okay? Which one did I show you on a video of? I can't remember now.
Right.
I think it was St. Therese, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No,
It was what?
it was Saint Fran. It was something with the F. Something from Poland or something. It started with an F. Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, Fran. That's her name. I did after her too. I know nothing about it.
I got Power of God and Henry on this one. Maybe which is better, this? Maybe.
But when they said she saw Jesus and what got a vision from Jesus, what they do to her?
Crew killer.
Burn therapy.
Black.
Well, they sent her to a person to test whether she was what? Insane. When really, those type of things should be what?
Normal.
They should be the normal things. But those types of things, God actually talking to you, that's what attracted me most when I met my wife. She would have conversation with God, and God would answer her back. Just like you and I had a conversation. Her faith was that strong. But she got so close to God because she grew up with two parents that were alcoholics. Guess where she lived? She lived in an apartment over the bar that her parents owned. So she would come home from school, and she might have to get her mom off the pool table down in the bar to get her up to the apartment so she could get her into bed. So even in that terrible situation, God used it for good because she had such a close relationship with God. One that I wished I would have had when I was going through school. And to believe in the situation that God is in charge, even in this terrible circumstance that I'm living through. So that's a person of faith. So people that live their lives trusting in God in the midst of great difficulty, to me, are people of great faith. So Noah, he trusted God that he got the message from God. Because what if he didn't hear the message right? He just, it took like 3 years for him to build the ark.
Only 3. That's
That was fast progress. No.
Let's go.
That means 3 years he didn't have any what?
So that's hope every single animal.
Source of income. He was only spending money to what? Build the ark. Everybody around him's what? Laughing and ridiculing him and persecuting him.
I would have taken you know, back then, I would
Okay.
have taken this on a long journey in the ocean.
Moses, he hears God out of what?
Burning
A
bush.
bush.
It was pressing that bush.
So just think about these things. If you came up to your friend, hey, God was just talking to me in this bush.
What? He did?
You guys would do what?
You're crazy.
Yo, you
You'd
crazy,
laugh,
man.
you'd make fun of that person.
Oh my God, he crazy, man.
We do each other disservices all the time.
That's cap. You crazy.
Rather than, what should we be doing? We should be encouraging people
The cap is
in their
starting.
faith.
I'm Tyrone.
The cap is starting.
Yo, you see, you just that fade to me.
But that's what I'm looking for, and I say, how are they a person of faith? Describe how they're a person of faith. Because we said faith is actually believing something without what?
Seeing it.
Without seeing it. Trusting something when it doesn't look
Trustable.
like it could happen. Because you have the promises of God that you can trust. We have evidence that we can always look for. We can also look back to all these people and see that God what? What's one word we can use to describe God? Starts with an F.
Faithful.
He's faithful.
Sasun Sasuke.
If you're faithful, that means what?
You're not cheating.
You can depend on them.
You believe,
And experience.
You don't have to worry that he won't or will not be there. Tell your neighbor one of the things that you would do if you were a parent to encourage your child. Or give them your list and them tell you, and then see which ones are the same.
I would beat my son with a belt every day until he cooperates.
So, do you have page 69 out?
I think we did that yesterday.
No, that's all.
We did that
I would put my credit
Oh, so I have to do anything yesterday. So after school, I went to the hospital.
Okay, anyways, I would put my kid in private school if they went inside school. And I would take them to church on Sunday. That's what I wrote. And I would pray with them. And then I would give him
Nathan,
a
did you do this?
The three I had.
People of faith one, that's the one I didn't have
The
from
two
you.
others I had was talk to them about God. Oh, I have that one.
even Lucas
And
brought
the
the
last
pencil.
one was do services with them.
This is about
I would send them to Catholic schools, make them pray before meals, take them to mass, read the Bible to them, and tell them about Jesus.
Okay, stop there. I want you, if you could only do one thing.
beat them to death.
If you could only do one thing, okay? So it says, list the things that you would do to help your child grow in faith,
Belt.
okay? If there was only one thing you could do, what's the one thing you would do?
Trap them in a room.
Yeah, tell your partner.
Hey, that's all.
Send them to class. I got an extra good friend.
Actually,
Yeah.
wow.
I got some spring breaker.
That's just like not
Oh, what happened to it?
That's like.
No, so what? Let me stop for my friend. So it was all over there, and she's like, "Oh, look, we got you a present." She walked over with a 2-liter bottle of Sprite.
Anyways, I would.
You're gonna be first, so you got
I
yours.
would talk.
We would
God
take
there
them
and
to
then.
church every
Yeah,
day.
I was gonna say I would pray with them or something. Yeah.
I think it was said you will pick sucks it all towards it.
Lucas, if you want to go to, Lucas, if you want to go to church with them,
I go every Sunday or Saturday, and I always see Tommy's family. and they have-
Okay, let's go down the list. I want two answers. One answer is, yes, I did this assignment. And I have, how many were we supposed to write? 5? 5 things. Okay? And then the second answer is, what's the one thing?
Oh, what assignment was this? We did this yesterday.
Oh, page 16.
So you didn't do this assignment?
Oh, well, when we have to do it, but you know, I did. And I would make my child read Jesus magazines.
Jesus magazine.
What's a Jesus magazine?
I don't know. Let's see. I'll make them go to church every Sunday.
Every other week.
Ella.
Rest in peace, Mikey.
I would take them.
Did you do this assignment?
Yeah.
Okay.
Give them confirmation.
Confirmation class? Is that what you're saying? Tommy.
Yes, I did it, and Nate's gonna go to church more often. Yes,
Tommy, I can't really.
Leah.
Yes, I did it and attend Catholic school.
Lulu, where are you gonna get money to do that?
Oh, actually I have a job.
Leah, no one's
yes,
gonna
I
hire
did.
you. Your
I said,
IQ is negative.
Look at
Read him stories in the Bible.
Who can tell me the 3-step process? Step 1. Zip the lip. 2. Look at the person talking, which is Nathan. How many heard what he gave?
Nathan was talking. There.
Yeah, this is uncomfortable.
Go again, Nathan.
I said, read him stories from the Bible.
Sam.
Yes, I did it, and I would send them to Catholic schools.
Yeah, I did it, and I would
It's
pray with
believable
them.
that I could get it. At least more believable than you.
Sam and Nathan, did you get what Bethel said?
Who's next?
I should start giving out checks, huh?
Reading like that.
Marisol.
Yeah, I did it, and I would talk about God with them.
Yes, I did it, and I would make them do their sacraments.
You'd make them what?
Do their sacraments. That's good.
Sacraments. I did it, and I would ask them, I think, to give them an example.
I did it, and I would what would I do? I would take them to church. I did do it, and I would put them in a private school. That's if I have children. I did it, and I would make them go to a Catholic school. You're gonna learn about Jesus, and you're gonna like it.
Yes, I did it, and I would show them how to respect others.
Yeah, I did it, and I would discuss prayer with them.
Yep.
Yes, I did, and I would take them to a Catholic school.
Amazing.
Yeah, I did it, and I would teach them how to pray properly.
Yes, I did it, and I would have them do that.
Or the spear.
Today, we want to talk about a virtue, or virtues.
There's 7 of them.
Virtues are what?
7 deadly sins.
Well, that show was amazing.
The things that we should learn from.
Spiritual habit that strengthens and enables right and good.
I got a conversation.
God enable us to do good.
A gift, so God gives it to us. We use it or not. So if we use the virtue, what happens?
You do good.
You do good, and what happens to virtue? It grows, gets stronger. So name a virtue.
Patience.
Patience. Give me another virtue.
Love.
Love. Hope.
Sounds like it's starting in a music video.
Faith. Peace.
No.
Forgiveness?
Forgiveness. Every good thing that we have in this life is a what?
Virtue.
It's a virtue. Every good thing is a virtue. Now the church has identified special virtues like the cardinal virtues and the theological virtues.
What?
There are 3 of these, and there are 4 of these. If you ever been to the cathedral in St. Paul, how many have been to the cathedral?
Probably
I have one.
If we get to go on our field trip,
Yay.
we will go to the cathedral. But if you look at the pillars that hold the dome of the cathedral, the 4 pillars, above each pillar is one of the cardinal virtues.
I want to go there.
What's the theological virtues? Our poster back here.
Faith, hope, and love.
Faith, hope, and love. What's the cardinal virtues?
Give me a second.
Actually, I in fact do not know. Wait. Yes. Yes. Bread on a toaster stick. Okay, so what's the other? 70. Faith, hope, and charity.
Justice,
Charity.
prudence, fortitude, temperance.
Yeah, I would not have guessed that.
The E or A? Temperance. A, C, A.
Do you?
Anybody know what these mean?
Justice means righting a wrong.
Those are the opposites in the
So
same.
something that is right is justice. So if you are doing the right thing, you are showing justice. You're exercising that virtue. Even comic strips have taken our virtues, right? We have the Justice League, right? What's the job of these superheroes?
To kill bad guys.
To
To
get
do good,
box
to do the
office.
right thing, okay?
Just killing bad guys.
That's
I
where
thought it was
justice
get
comes
power.
from.
We do not kill.
Burger.
Prudence.
Someone that
You know what prudence is?
Destroy
Prudence is
what the gain the progress.
Such a good explanation.
Oh, prudence is still girl from Selena. Croutons.
Prudence is wisdom. And it isn't the wisdom of the world.
God.
Wisdom in terms of understanding what God wants in a situation. Who was the king that exemplified that?
David.
His son.
Solomon. Right.
Solomon. God said Solomon can have anything you want. What Solomon asked for?
Wisdom.
Hair.
He asked for wisdom. So he could actually lead God's people according to God's will. Because wisdom to this world is,
Being smart.
or wisdom to God is what to the world? Foolishness to the world. What's fortitude?
Humility.
Sorry.
Humility is a different virtue. It's a virtue we talked about, though.
Temperance.
Fortitude. This is what many of us lack in here because you're afraid of being put down. Fortitude is courage.
Oh, I have courage.
Courage is to stand up for what you believe is right. Courage is to be able to state my faith. Okay? This is like here, character is how you live life when nobody's looking. Many of us have this sin that we struggle with, particularly in highest for you guys right now,
Pretext.
pretense.
Pre-tax.
You know what pretense means?
No.
You put
The tense.
on a show.
What's your sin?
Wait, so
It is if you're not being real when you're being asked to be real.
Wait, so but that's actually a sin though.
Yes, it is.
A sin is any time God tells us to do something and what?
No.
We don't do it.
Okay, I'll be honest.
I've said several times.
Are you tired?
So we have this show that we put on in front of others. Or like, I've shared lots of times I should just put a big cardboard cutout of Mr. Hale in the hallway.
Do it.
Because I put a big cardboard cutout of Mr. Hale, because usually when I walk down the hallway, behavior what? Changes.
Put a little camera in front of
Because that, when it changes, then really what's happening?
I'm scared.
You're putting on a show for who?
you.
Me. Sometimes we try to do this with God.
Is the best teacher.
So this is courage. To not. It takes courage to reveal who you are inside. It takes courage to share somebody about your faith. Even in this little activity that we said, what's the most important thing? Some of you were nervous about that because some of you were making fun of other people's. We have to get past that if we want to grow in our faith. We need to exercise these virtues. They're gifts. God's holding them out to us. He gives us the grace for them. But it's what? My choice to do it or not. And sometimes when you make the choice, it's going to involve what?
Pain.
Pain, yeah. I might get made fun of. What's temperance?
Temperance is.
We learned this last year in social studies when they had the temperance movement, which led to the 18th Amendment to the Constitution.
The alcohol.
That's what the temperance movement was all about. So it's similar to that. It's related to that. But temperance means not going to extremes.
What was fortitude again?
So all these things that are good. You know the internet's good, but can you abuse it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Shut up.
Food is good.
You get
But
it
can you
before
abuse
I'm
it?
not done.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So temperance means using things in moderation,
Are you serious?
or using things according to God's will.
Not making fun.
So another word for temperance would be moderation. Okay? So I'm going to show you our project.
Oh, come on.
Very simple. It's not really a project.
Okay,
It's
is this bad as the project you do in math class there?
You hear projects and people freak out. That's why I say project. I like to
Is
see
it
people
like
freak
a
out.
math project you last year?
Hey, is Addie on?
Oh, I didn't tell you the real. Which amendment to the Constitution lets me wear short sleeve shirts?
Bird.
Third. Actually, no.
16.
No, 16th is something else.
Well, second.
15.
It's the
The
fifth.
second amendment.
Aha, I got it right.
Oh.
I thought the second.
It's the right to
amendment-
bear arms.
Oh.
Wow.
Ah.
Wow.
I do bear arms in both ways.
What?
It's so funny.
Well, I have the right to bear arms. See, I have bare arms and I'm bearing an arm right now.
If you responded to my emails, I didn't see them.
So if you go to the Google Classroom page,
Why do you
here's the
email
assignment. So you're gonna, I have created a slideshow here on virtues. Okay? You're gonna take one of the slides, pick a virtue, put the name of that virtue on the slide, decorate the slide. It has to have at least, I should probably blow this up so you can see it better, huh?
60 pictures.
Brandon, sit down.
142 colors.
Where's the tool section?
Yeah, it's there. It can plus.
We have partners then?
Yeah, you get partners.
Hey,
Brandon?
no, you don't get a partner.
Why? Decorating's hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, I think we should get a partner.
But sometimes
Oh, it's really hard, yeah.
Like I
We
only
need a
have
second
one. I only have
opinion.
one arm. I think I should be trying to have a
Oh
partner.
my god.
Lucas, you're faking.
I made one slide, I didn't put a virtue on it,
Like
but
Helen Keller.
it took me like 10 seconds, okay?
Okay.
So this assignment might take you 5 minutes. If you struggle thinking about, probably the longest time it takes is picking a virtue, but, okay? So, you're gonna pick a virtue from the virtue list, and I have a list of the virtues. Basically, anything good we said is what? A virtue. So you could name anything good, even if it wasn't on the list. Okay?
Pizza?
You're gonna create a slide that demonstrates that virtue. It should have the title of the virtue, at least one scripture related to the virtue, and a minimum of 2 pictures. And your name is in the bottom right corner.
So kind of like our posters.
Kind of like your posters, but you're just gonna put it on a slide. And then we're gonna show, everybody can see the slideshow. Okay, so
When in any grade do you look at 8th grade project? I don't know.
Mom's gotta got Lucas's project.
First grade. No, it's I can't remember it. I remember first grade.
okay, here's my virtue list that's on the, so they just put it in alphabetical order. So there's their list. Of course, there's almost an inexhaustible list because there's so many things that could be what? Good. Anything that's good can count as a virtue. But I don't want you to choose, some of the virtue words are actually the same virtue with just a different word. Like fortitude is the same as what? Courage. So you could say courage or you could say fortitude, but so we can't have 2 people doing, one's doing fortitude, one's just doing courage.
So the
No.
pictures have to be like.
It has to be a totally different virtue. And it's gonna be first come, first serve. So whoever starts that page and gets that virtue on that page has dibs on that virtue. Okay? We were gonna take some class, we'll take homeroom today to grab a Chromebook and do that. It's due the next religion time. Also in your planner, so in your planner you should write down okay, virtue slide.
No!
Does anybody have questions about this? So it's all on the Google page under religion.
So is it Friday? Friday? Oh, no, we tried. Did you buy them the Valley?
Logan, you know I have a pile of your stuff that you left in the room?
I do very much now. I have a quarter.
Go on and grab it.
You have 1 quarter.
Do you need me to kiss your boo?
What do we have now? Music?